Dear friends, so glad you're here. Time flies. We have journeyed into the third year of Jesus' ministry, when he grew in fame but also in oppositions. In the previous episode, Jesus shows his cares for all people, their whole person, body, mind, and heart. He reveals his authority on earth to heal and to forgive. In this episode, you see that Jesus seeks people out personally. He heals them physically and spiritually, and sets them free from bondage. He confronts injustice and opposes worldly values. His work and words become bolder. His oppositions intensifies. As such, Jesus has begun to disclose his impending death to his closest disciples. He named himself the Son of Man, one who would suffer in his humanity. Now, quiet your heart, listen to the story. Take time to reflect or to make note of any important thoughts by pausing the video anytime. And allow Jesus to speak gently to your heart. Let us begin. One of the most exceptional and important events in Jesus' life was his transfiguration, when he revealed his glory as the Son of God. This event was outside the normal, with the merging of the present to the past and intersecting into the future. It was a mystery. Join Jesus and his three beloved disciples in the story according to the Gospel of Mark.
Now after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John his brother, led them up on a high mountain by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with him. Then Peter answered and said to Jesus,
Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah.
While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and suddenly a voice came out of the cloud, saying,
This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him.
And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their faces and were greatly afraid. But Jesus came and touched them.
Arise, and do not be afraid.
When they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no one but Jesus only.
Picture yourself in this powerful scene. Of all the things you saw and heard, what struck you most? What was it like to be with Jesus, the 2 prophets Moses and Elijah, and the 3 disciples? God declared for the second time that Jesus is his beloved Son, and commanded his disciples to listen to him. What have you learned about Jesus? How have you listened to him lately? Having experienced such a mysterious encounter with God, how may you withhold from telling others? What thoughts and emotions are emerging within you? Stay with Jesus. Share with him what's on your heart. Jesus, the Son of God on high, yet he comes to us. He sees and heals every broken and hurting soul, regardless of age, gender, or social status. Jesus meets us where we are, personally. Let's see what happens when Jesus was teaching in Judea. Listen to the story in the Gospel of Luke.
Now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman who had a spirit of infirmity 18 years, and was bent over and could in no way raise herself up. But when Jesus saw her, he called her to him.
Woman, you are loosed from your infirmity.
And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight and glorified God. But the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation, because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath. And he said to the crowd,
There are 6 days on which men ought to work. Therefore come and be healed on them, and not on the Sabbath day.
Hypocrite! Does not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his ox or donkey from the stall and lead it away to water it? So ought not this woman, being the daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bound, think of it, for 18 years, be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath?
And when he said these things, all his adversaries were put to shame, and all the multitude rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him.
Picture yourself as the woman in the story. What was it like to be seen and called by Jesus, the one who knows you and your struggle even before you speak? What would it be like to be touched by Jesus, to be set free from whatever bondage that may have hindered you from living life to the fullest? Where in your life, or that of your loved one, needs Jesus' healing touch today? Tell Jesus about your struggle. Ask, and you will receive. Jesus healed many sick and demon-possessed. He also raised 3 people from the dead, one of whom was his follower Lazarus, who has 2 sisters, Martha and Mary. Jesus loved them. One day, Jesus learned that Lazarus was very sick, but instead of going to him right away, Jesus waited 2 days. When he finally got there, it all seemed too late. Let's see how the story unfolds in the Gospel of John.
On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home.
Lord,
Martha said to Jesus,
if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask.
Jesus said to her,
Your brother will rise again.
Martha answered,
I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day.
Jesus said to her,
I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?
Yes, Lord,
she told him.
I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who was to come into the world.
When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said,
Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died.
When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled.
Where have you laid him?
He asked.
Come and see, Lord,
they replied. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said,
See how he loved him.
But some of them said,
Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?
Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance.
Take away the stone,
he said.
But Lord,
said Martha, the sister of the dead man,
by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days.
Then Jesus said,
Did I not tell you that if you believed you would see the glory of God?
So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said,
Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me.
When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice,
Lazarus, come out!
The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen, and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them,
Take off the grave clothes and let him go.
Many Jews who witnessed this miracle believed in Jesus, but some went to report to the Pharisees. The chief priests and the Pharisees feared that many will believe in Jesus, and the Romans will intervene and take control of Jerusalem. So they plotted to kill Jesus. Everyone thought it was too late for Jesus to do anything. When was the last time you felt a life situation was irretrievable and that nothing can be done? What was that like? Jesus wept with those who mourned. In your sorrow, how have you allowed Jesus to mourn with you? In your losses and grief in the pandemic, how may you believe that something good will come out of what seems dead or dying? What does it look like to come out of the tomb of your heart? Sit with Jesus. Allow him to speak to your pain in silence. In the previous two stories, Jesus shows himself as a compassionate healer who comforts and heals the hurting personally. At the late stage of his public ministry, he boldly demonstrates his mercy by offering forgiveness and salvation to sinners. Let's hear the story in the Gospel of Luke that took place in a city near Jerusalem.
Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but being a short man, he could not because of the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him,
Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today.
So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter,
He has gone to be the guest of a sinner.
But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord,
Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount.
Jesus said to him,
Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save what was lost.
Picture yourself as Zacchaeus. What was it like for Jesus to see you and to call you by name? How did you feel when Jesus invited himself to your home? Zacchaeus was so glad to see Jesus and to make things right in his life. What might be weighing on your heart that you wish to bring before Jesus? What does salvation from Jesus mean to you personally? Who in your life may need to know Jesus today? Speak to Jesus what is stirring in your heart. He is listening. Jesus cured many people in his lifetime: the sick, the lame, the lepers, the demon-possessed, the deaf, and the blind, healing both physical and spiritual illnesses. He performed 23 healing miracles and even raised 3 people from the dead. Jesus healed in the past. He continues to heal in the present. He mends the brokenness of humanity and restores us to new life. Despite our sinful nature, he comes to us personally with compassion and mercy. For many years, I was blind. I didn't see Jesus in my life. I looked to materialism, career success, and affirmations from others to fill the lack of expressions of affection in my conservative family. But only much later did I discover all I was seeking was fleeting, disappointing, and life-draining. I gradually realized that my deep longing could only be satisfied by the perfect love of Jesus. He has shown me that he loves me just as I am, just as God created me. My thirst for love has been filled as I know Jesus more deeply and follow him more closely. He is healing me and making me whole day by day, and now I lack nothing. Jesus truly is a compassionate healer who knows our pains, one who meets us where we are. He is a merciful Savior who comes to save the lost and hurting. In the episodes to follow, we will see Jesus demonstrating his perfect love in action. For now, may I invite you to ponder over these 3 questions. What has kept you from moving forward in life? Is it illness? Grief? Relationship? Regret? Shame? Cultural baggage? Or others? In what areas of your life may you seek mercy or show mercy? Knowing Jesus personally seeks out and heals the broken and hurting, how may you respond? Rest with Jesus. Allow him to hold you with compassion in silence.